Ethology is the scientific study of animal behavior in natural conditions, focusing on instinctive and learned behaviors. Classical ethology, developed by pioneers like Konrad Lorenz, Nicolaus Tinbergen, and Carl von Frisch, laid the foundation for understanding innate behaviors and their evolutionary significance. Key concepts of classical ethology: 1. Instinct and innate behavior. Instincts are genetically programmed behaviors that appear without prior experience or learning. Behaviors are heritable, consistent, and stereotyped across individuals of the same species. Example: newly hatched sea turtles instinctively move toward the ocean without being taught. 2. Fixed action patterns, FAPs. Definition: a sequence of unchangeable, innate behaviors triggered by specific stimulus, sign stimulus. Once initiated, the behavior runs to completion. Example: egg rolling behavior in gray-legged geese. If an egg is displaced from a nest, the goose instinctively rolls it back using its beak. Even if egg is removed midway, the goose completes the rolling motion. Another example: stickleback fish exhibit aggressive displays toward red objects, mistaking them for rival males. 3. Imprinting, Lorenz's experiment on geese. Definition: a form of rapid learning that occurs during a specific critical period, leading to long-lasting behavioral effects. Konrad Lorenz's experiment. Geese hatchlings raised by Lorenz followed him instead of their biological mother, a phenomenon called filial imprinting. This process is irreversible and occurs during a sensitive period soon after birth. Other examples: salmon imprint on the chemical composition of their natal stream and return to it for spawning. Zebra finches learn their species-specific song during an early developmental phase. 4. Proximate versus ultimate causes of behavior. Tinbergen's 4 questions. Nicolaus Tinbergen proposed 4 key questions to analyze animal behavior. Proximate causes: how the behavior occurs. Causation: mechanism: what triggers the behavior. Example: a songbird sings due to hormonal changes in response to day length. Development: ontogeny: how does the behavior develop over an individual's lifetime. Example: young birds learn their song from adults during a critical period. Ultimate causes: why the behavior evolved. Function: adaptation: how does the behavior enhance survival and reproduction. Example: singing helps birds attract mates, increasing reproductive success. Evolution: phylogeny: how did the behavior evolve across species. Example: birdsong evolved from ancestral vocalizations in early avian species. 5. Communication and signal use. Carl von Frisch's honeybee dance. Carl von Frisch discovered that honeybees use the waggle dance to communicate the location of food sources. Waggle dance mechanism: the angle of the dance relative to the sun indicates the direction of the food. The duration of the waggle phase represents the distance to the food source. Examples of animal communication: fireflies use bioluminescence for mate attraction. Prairie dogs use distinct alarm calls for different predators. 6. Evolutionary basis of behavior. Genetic and environmental influences. Behavioral genetics: some behaviors are encoded in genes, as shown in artificial selection experiments on mice running behavior. Nature versus nurture debate. Nature: some behaviors, like spider web building, are innate. Nurture: other behaviors, like birdsong, require learning from conspecifics. Practice questions. Gate previous year questions. 1. Recall. Question: Gate 2021. What is a fixed action pattern FAP? Provide an example. Answer. A fixed action pattern FAP is an innate, stereotyped behavior sequence that is triggered by a specific stimulus and runs to completion once initiated. Example: the egg rolling behavior of gray-legged geese. If an egg is displaced, the goose will use its beak to roll it back to the nest, even if the egg is removed midway. 2. Comprehension. Question: Gate 2020. How does imprinting differ from other forms of learning? Give an example. Answer. Imprinting differs from other forms of learning because it occurs during a critical period early in life. It is irreversible once established. It does not require reinforcement or rewards. Example: Konrad Lorenz's study on geese showed that hatchlings followed him instead of their biological mother, demonstrating filial imprinting. 3. Application. Question: Gate 2019. If a songbird is raised in isolation, it fails to develop a normal song. What does this indicate about the nature of birdsong learning? Answer. This indicates that birdsong learning has both innate and learned components. The innate template allows birds to produce species-specific vocalizations. However, exposure to adult song during a critical learning period is necessary for proper song development. Birds raised in isolation fail to develop a normal song, proving that environmental input is essential. 4. Analysis and synthesis. Question: Gate 2018. How do Tinbergen's 4 questions help in understanding honeybee waggle dance? Answer. Causation: mechanism. The dance is triggered by the successful collection of nectar and the need to inform hive mates. Development: ontogeny. Worker bees learn the waggle dance as they mature and gain foraging experience. Function: adaptation. The waggle dance improves foraging efficiency by directing hive members to food sources. Evolution: phylogeny. Similar forms of food communication may have evolved in other eusocial insects like ants. Summary. This lecture covered instinct and innate behaviors, fixed action patterns FAPs, and key examples. Imprinting and its evolutionary significance. Tinbergen's 4 questions in behavioral research. Carl von Frisch's discovery of the honeybee waggle dance. Genetic and environmental influences on behavior. Additionally, we included Gate previous year questions with detailed solutions to align with the exam pattern. Would you like notes on another topic? You said, instinct. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT instinct introduction. Instinct is an innate, inherited behavioral response that an organism exhibits without prior experience or learning. These behaviors are genetically encoded, hardwired in the nervous system, and crucial for survival and reproduction. Example: newly hatched sea turtles instinctively move toward the ocean without needing to be taught. Characteristics of instinctive behavior: genetically controlled, passed down from parent to offspring. Stereotyped: the behavior occurs in a fixed, predictable manner. Fully developed at birth, no learning is required. Triggered by specific stimuli, sign stimulus or releaser, instincts are activated by environmental cues. Unchangeable and consistent: unlike learned behaviors, instincts are performed the same way by all individuals of a species. Essential for survival: instincts help with food acquisition, predator avoidance, reproduction, and social interactions. Examples of instinctive behavior. 1. Fixed action patterns FAPs. A fixed action pattern FAP is an unchangeable sequence of instinctive actions triggered by a specific stimulus. Once started, the behavior continues until completion, regardless of external changes. Example. Egg rolling and gray-lag geese. If an egg is displaced from a nest, the goose instinctively rolls it back using its beak. Even if the egg is removed mid-action, the goose continues the rolling motion. 2. Nest building in birds. Birds build nests using species-specific patterns without learning from others. Even if raised in isolation, they construct nests of the same design. 3. Migration and navigation. Instinct guides many animals' seasonal migrations for breeding and survival. Example. Arctic terns migrate thousands of kilometers between the Arctic and Antarctic annually. Monarch butterflies navigate using genetic programming and the sun's position. 4. Suckling reflex in mammals. Newborn mammals instinctively suckle their mother's milk as soon as they are born. This behavior is crucial for early survival. 5. Predator avoidance. Many prey species instinctively flee from specific predator cues. Example. Young deer instinctively freeze when they hear rustling sounds, reducing predator detection. 6. Social instincts in insects. Worker bees instinctively care for the queen and larva in a hive. Ants instinctively follow pheromone trails to find food and return to the nest. Instinct versus learned behavior. Feed learned behavior genetic basis inherited, born with it, acquired through experience modification, fixed and unchangeable, can change with experience, timing present at birth, developed over time. Example, migration, reflexes, FAPS tool use in primates, language learning, theories of instinct. 1. Darwin's natural selection and instinct. Instincts evolve because they increase survival and reproductive success. Example, birds with instinctive nest building behavior have higher reproductive success, so this trait is passed on. 2. William James's instinct theory proposed that instincts are the foundation of human and animal behavior. Human behaviors such as fear, love, and curiosity are instinct-driven responses. 3. Conrad Lorenz and Nicolas Tinbergen's ethology study fixed action patterns, FAPS, and sign stimuli that trigger instinctive responses. Example, stickleback fish attack red objects, mistaking them for rival males due to an instinctive aggression response. Practice questions. Gate previous year questions. 1. Recall. Question Gate 2022. Define instinct and give one example. Answer. Instinct is an innate, genetically controlled behavior that does not require learning or prior experience. It is stereotyped and essential for survival. Example. Suckling reflex in newborn mammals ensures they receive nourishment immediately after birth. 2. Comprehension. Question Gate 2021. Explain the difference between instinct and learned behavior with an example. Answer. Instinct is an inborn, genetically programmed behavior that does not require experience. Learned behavior, on the other hand, is acquired through interaction with the environment. Example. Instinct. Migratory birds follow genetically programmed routes. Learned behavior. Chimpanzees learn to use tools by observing others. 3. Application. Question Gate 2020. Gray-lag geese roll eggs back to their nest even if the egg is removed mid-behavior. What type of behavior is this, and why does it occur? Answer. This is an example of a fixed action pattern, FAP, a type of instinctive behavior. It occurs because the behavior is hardwired and continues once triggered, even if a stimulus is removed. 4. Analysis and synthesis. Question Gate 2019. How does natural selection shape instinctive behaviors in animals? Answer. Natural selection favors instinctive behaviors that enhance survival and reproduction. Over generations, genetic variations that improve an animal's ability to respond to environmental challenges become widespread. Examples. Predator avoidance instincts in deer reduce the likelihood of predation. Nest building instincts in birds ensure a safe environment for offspring. Summary. This lecture covered definition and characteristics of instinct. Examples, including fixed action patterns, FAPS, migration, and predator avoidance. Differences between instinct and learned behavior. Theories explaining the evolution of instinct. Gate previous year questions with answers. Would you like notes on another topic? You said. Fixed action patterns, ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Fixed action patterns, FAPS, introduction. A fixed action pattern, FAP, is an innate, instinctive behavior sequence that is highly stereotyped and invariant within a species. Once triggered by a specific stimulus, sign stimulus or releaser, the behavior runs to completion, regardless of external changes. Key characteristics of FAPS. Innate and genetically programmed, the behavior is not learned but inherited. Triggered by a sign stimulus, a specific external cue, releaser, initiates the action. Stereotyped and invariant, the pattern is performed in the same way by all individuals of a species. Runs to completion, once initiated, it continues without being influenced by further stimuli. Species specific, each species has unique FAPS that help in survival and reproduction. Examples of fixed action patterns. 1. Egg rolling behavior in gray-lag geese. When a mother goose sees an egg outside its nest, she instinctively rolls it back using her beak. Even if the egg is removed midway through the rolling action, she continues the behavior as if the egg were still there. The sign stimulus is the site of the displaced egg. 2. Stickleback fish aggression response. Male stickleback fish attack any red-colored object, mistaking it for a rival male invading their territory. Even a model with just a red patch triggers aggression, proving that the stimulus red color alone is enough to initiate the FAP. 3. Courtship rituals in birds. Many birds perform elaborate courtship dances when they see a receptive mate. Example, male peacocks display their feathers as a fixed action response to a female's presence. 4. Web spinning in spiders. Spiderlings build webs without prior learning, following a fixed pattern encoded in their genes. Even if a young spider is raised in isolation, it spins a web just like others of its species. 5. Imprinting and following response in ducks and geese. Newly hatched ducklings instinctively follow the first moving object they see, usually their mother. If raised by a human, as shown by Conrad Lorenz's experiment, they imprint on the human instead. 6. Moth freezing response to bat echolocation. Some moth species instinctively drop to the ground when they detect ultrasound frequencies from hunting bats. This behavior is automatic and occurs even when there is no immediate danger. Fixed action patterns versus reflexes versus learned behaviors. Feature fixed action pattern, FAP. Reflex learned behavior, nature instinctive, innate automatic, involuntary acquired through experience, triggered by external sign stimulus, external, internal stimulus reinforcement, trial and error, modifiability, stereotyped, cannot be changed, immediate and consistent, flexible, can improve over time, runs to completion. Yes, no, no. Example goose egg rolling, stickleback aggression pupil dilation in bright light chimpanzees using tools evolutionary significance of FAPS. Survival advantage, helps in escaping predators, finding food, or caring for offspring. Reproductive success, courtship rituals ensure successful mating. Energy efficiency, instinctive behaviors require no learning, saving time and effort. Species-specific communication, FAPS help recognize conspecifics, members of the same species. Practice questions gate previous year questions 1. Recall. Question gate 2021, what is a fixed action pattern FAP? Provide an example. Answer. A fixed action pattern FAP is a stereotyped, innate sequence of behaviors triggered by a specific stimulus, which runs to completion once initiated. Example, egg rolling behavior in gray lag geese, where a goose rolls a displaced egg back into the nest even if the egg is removed midway. 2. Comprehension. Question gate 2020, how does a fixed action pattern differ from a reflex? Answer. FAPs are complex sequences of behaviors that are triggered by assigned stimulus and continue to completion, e.g., stickleback fish attacking red objects. Reflexes are simple, involuntary responses to stimuli that do not continue once the stimulus is removed, e.g., knee-jerk reflex. 3. Application. Question gate 2019, a male stickleback fish attacks any red-colored object during the breeding season. What type of behavior is this, and what triggers it? Answer. This is an example of a fixed action pattern FAP. An stimulus releaser is the red coloration, which the fish perceives as an invading male. The behavior is stereotyped and automatic, continuing even if the red object is not an actual rival. 4. Analysis and synthesis. Question gate 2018, if a gray-lag goose's egg rolling behavior is disrupted by removing the egg, why does the goose continue the rolling motion? Answer. The egg rolling behavior is a fixed action pattern FAP, meaning once triggered, the behavior must run to completion, even if the egg is no longer present. This suggests that the action is controlled by innate neural circuits, independent of real-time sensory feedback. Summary. This lecture covered definition and characteristics of FAPs. Examples like egg rolling in geese, stickleback aggression, and spider web spinning. Comparison of FAPs, reflexes, and learned behaviors. Evolutionary significance of FAPs. Gate previous year questions with answers. Would you like notes on another topic? You said, imprinting, ChatGPT said, ChatGPT imprinting introduction. Imprinting is a type of innate learning that occurs only during a critical period early in an animal's life. Once established, the behavior is irreversible and helps organisms recognize and bond with a parent, conspecifics, or an environment. Key features of imprinting. Occurs during a critical period, must happen during a specific time frame, usually early life. Irreversible and lasting, once imprinted, the behavior remains for life. Independent of reward or punishment, unlike operant learning, imprinting does not require reinforcement. Species-specific, certain animals, especially birds and mammals, exhibit imprinting behaviors. Essential for survival, helps in parental recognition, mate selection, and migration. Types of imprinting. 1. Filial imprinting, parent-offspring recognition, young animals imprint on and follow their mother or caregiver. Ensures they stay close for protection and nourishment. Example. Konrad Lorenz's experiment on geese. If newly hatched goslings saw Lorenz first instead of their mother, they imprinted on him and followed him everywhere. 2. Sexual imprinting, mate recognition. Occurs when animals learn mate preferences based on early experiences. Example. Cross-fostered birds may choose mates resembling their foster parents rather than their species. 3. Habitat imprinting. Animals imprint on their birthplace or environment and return there later. Example. Salmon imprint on the chemical signature of their home river and return there to spawn. 4. Olfactory imprinting. Certain animals imprint on specific smells to recognize individuals or places. Example. Newborn mammals recognize their mother's scent soon after birth. Examples of imprinting in animals. Animal imprinting type description. Ducks and geese filial follow the first moving object they see after hatching. Salmon habitat return to their natal river to reproduce. Zebra finches sexual choose mates based on early exposure to parents. Sheep and goats filial and olfactory newborns recognize their mother's scent and voice. Mechanism of imprinting. 1. Exposure to a stimulus. During the sensitive period, the animal encounters a key stimulus, e.g., mother, habitat. 2. Formation of a permanent memory. The brain encodes and retains this recognition for future reference. 3. Irreversible association. The imprinted memory influences lifelong behavior, e.g., following the imprinted figure, choosing mates. Neural basis of imprinting. The hyperstriated ventral IMHV in birds and the olfactory system in mammals are critical for imprinting. The release of neurotransmitters like dopamine reinforces imprinting behavior. Evolutionary significance of imprinting survival advantage, helps offspring stay close to parents for protection. Efficient learning, saves time as the behavior is hardwired after one exposure. Species recognition, ensures that animals recognize their own kind and select appropriate mates. Migration and homing, allows species like salmon and birds to navigate back to their birthplace. Imprinting versus other learning mechanisms. Feature imprinting, classical conditioning, operant conditioning, timing, critical period, only, anytime, reversibility, irreversible, reversible, reinforcement needed. No, yes, yes. Example ducks following Lorenz, Pavlov's dogs, salivating rats, pressing the lever for food. Practice questions, gate previous year questions 1. Recall. Question gate 2022, what is imprinting? Give an example. Answer. Imprinting is a type of innate learning that occurs during a critical period and is irreversible. It helps in recognizing parents, mates, or habitats. Example. Filial imprinting in ducks, newly hatched ducklings follow the first moving object they see, usually their mother. 2. Comprehension. Question gate 2021, how does imprinting differ from classical conditioning? Answer. Feature imprinting, classical conditioning, timing happens during a specific critical period, can occur at any stage of life. Reversibility, irreversible, reversible. Example goslings following Lorenz, Pavlov's dogs, salivating to a bell. 3. Application. Question gate 2020, if a group of salmon is raised in a different river and then released into the ocean, where will they return to spawn? Answer. Salmon use habitat imprinting, meaning they will return to the river where they were raised, not their species' original home, because they imprinted on the water's chemical signature. 4. Analysis and synthesis. Question gate 2019, Konrad Lorenz showed that geese imprinted on him instead of their mother. What does this suggest about imprinting? Answer. Imprinting is based on exposure to a stimulus during a sensitive period, rather than genetic recognition of parents. This suggests that early experience determines lifelong social bonds, rather than innate knowledge. Summary. This lecture covered Definition and key characteristics of imprinting. Types of imprinting: filial, sexual, habitat, and olfactory. Examples of imprinting in different species. Neural basis and evolutionary significance of imprinting. Comparison with other learning mechanisms. Gate previous year questions with answers. Would you like notes on another topic? You said. Learned behavior. Theory. Asper gave previous questions came sections. ChatGPT said. ChatGPT. Learned behavior introduction. Unlike innate behaviors, which are genetically programmed, learned behaviors develop through experience and interaction with the environment. Learning allows animals to adapt to changing conditions, improving their survival and reproductive success. Key features of learned behavior develops through experience, not inherited but acquired. Flexible and modifiable, can change based on new stimuli or consequences. Influenced by environmental factors, unlike fixed action patterns, FAPS learned behaviors vary across individuals. Essential for complex problem solving, higher animals rely on learning for survival strategies. Types of learning. 1. Habituation, non-associative learning. An organism reduces its response to repeated stimuli when it learns they are not harmful. Example. Pigeons in cities stop reacting to human presence over time. Sea anemones stop withdrawing their tentacles if repeatedly touched without harm. 2. Sensitization, non-associative learning. The opposite of habituation, the organism becomes more responsive to a repeated stimulus over time. Example. A person becomes increasingly irritated by a dripping faucet. 3. Classical conditioning, associative learning. Pavlovian conditioning, a neutral stimulus CS becomes associated with a meaningful stimulus US leading to a conditioned response CR. Example. Pavlov's experiment. Dogs salivated when hearing a bell, conditioned stimulus after it was paired with food, unconditioned stimulus. 4. Operant conditioning, trial and error learning. Skinnerian conditioning, behavior is shaped by rewards or punishments, reinforcement-based learning. Example. A rat in a Skinner box learns to press a lever to receive food, positive reinforcement. A child avoids touching a hot stove after getting burned, negative reinforcement. 5. Observational learning, social learning or imitation, learning occurs by watching and mimicking others. Example. Young chimpanzees learn to crack nuts by observing older chimps. Birds learn songs by listening to adults. 6. Insight learning, cognitive learning, problem solving without trial and error, occurs when an animal suddenly solves a problem without prior experience. Example. Kohler's chimpanzees stacked boxes to reach a banana hanging from a ceiling. Crows use tools like sticks to extract insects from holes. Learned behavior versus innate behavior. Feature learned behavior. Innate behavior influence environment and experience. Genetically programmed modification can change with new experiences. Rigid and fixed examples. Language learning, tool use, reflexes, fixed action patterns. FAPS. Evolutionary significance of learning. Enhances survival in dynamic environments. Learned behaviors provide adaptability. Facilitates social structures. In species like primates and elephants, learned behaviors strengthen group dynamics. Reduces unnecessary responses. Habituation prevents wasted energy reacting to non-threatening stimuli. Allows innovation. Problem-solving abilities help animals discover new ways to obtain food and escape predators. Practice questions. Gate previous year questions. 1. Recall. Question. Gate 2023. What is operant conditioning? Provide an example. Answer. Operant conditioning is a type of learning where behavior is shaped by consequences, rewards, or punishments. Example. A dog learns to sit on command because it receives treats as positive reinforcement. 2. Comprehension. Question. Gate 2022. How does classical conditioning differ from operant conditioning? Featured classical conditioning. Operant conditioning learning process association between two stimuli. Association between behavior and consequence. Example. Pavlov's dog salivating at a bell. A rat pressing the lever for food. 3. Application. Question. Gate 2021. In a forest, deer gradually stop reacting to human presence. What type of learning is this? Answer. This is an example of habituation, where an animal learns to ignore repeated, harmless stimuli. 4. Analysis and synthesis. Question. Gate 2020. A chimpanzee uses a stick to extract termites from a mound without prior experience. What type of learning is this, and why? Answer. This is insight learning, as the chimpanzee solves a problem without trial and error, demonstrating cognitive processing. Summary. This lecture covered definition and key features of learned behavior. Types of learning, habituation, classical and operant conditioning, observational learning, insight learning. Differences between learned and innate behaviors. Evolutionary advantages of learning. Gate previous year questions with answers. Would you like notes on another topic? You said. Avoid that summary portion from now on and give theory at that portion to ChatGPT said. ChatGPT. Fixed action patterns. FAPS. Introduction. Fixed action patterns. FAPS are innate, pre-programmed behavioral sequences that are triggered by specific stimuli, known as sign stimuli or releasers. Once initiated, these behaviors run to completion without further influence from external stimuli, even if the initial trigger is removed. FAPS are stereotyped and predictable, occurring in a similar manner across individuals of a species. Key characteristics of fixed action patterns. Innate and inherited, FAPS are genetically hardwired and do not require learning or prior experience. Triggered by specific stimuli, a particular external cue, known as a sign stimulus or releaser, initiates the behavior. Stereotyped sequence, the behavior follows a predictable and unvarying pattern once started. Completion without external influence. Once initiated, the sequence proceeds to completion, regardless of changes in the environment. Species-specific, FAPS are characteristic of a particular species and are consistent among individuals. Examples of fixed action patterns. Animal behavior. Sign stimulus. Gray-lag goose egg rolling behavior. If an egg rolls out of the nest, the goose uses its beak to roll it back. The sight of an egg outside the nest. Stickleback fish. Male aggression during breeding season. Males attack other males entering their territory. The red coloration on the underside of another male. Herring-billed chicks pecking at the red spot on the parent's bill to solicit food. The red spot on the parent's bill. Humans. Infant grasp reflex. Newborns tightly grasp objects placed in their palms. Pressure on the infant's palm. Mechanism of fixed action patterns. Detection of sign stimulus. The animal's sensory system identifies a specific external cue. Activation of neural pathway. The stimulus triggers a neural circuit known as the innate releasing mechanism. Behavior. The innate releasing mechanism initiates the fixed action pattern, leading to the observable behavior. Evolutionary significance of fixed action patterns. Survival advantage. FAPS often involve behaviors crucial for survival, such as feeding, mating, and defense mechanisms. Efficiency. Being pre-programmed, FAPS allow for quick and reliable responses without the need for learning or decision-making. Reproductive success. Many facts are related to reproductive behaviors, ensuring the continuation of the species. Fixed action patterns versus learned behaviors feature fixed action patterns. Learned behaviors origin genetically inherited, acquired through experience. Flexibility, rigid and stereotyped. Flexible and adaptable, dependence on experience, independent of individual experience, dependent on individual experience. Examples: egg rolling in geese, mating dances in birds, tool use in primates, language acquisition in humans. Practice questions. Gate previous year questions. 1. Recall. Question: what is a fixed action pattern? FAP. Provide an example. Answer: a fixed action pattern FAP is an innate, pre-programmed behavioral sequence that is triggered by a specific stimulus and runs to completion once initiated. Example: the egg rolling behavior in gray-lag geese, where a goose will roll a displaced egg back into the nest upon seeing it outside. 2. Comprehension. Question: how does a fixed action pattern differ from a learned behavior? Answer: feature fixed action pattern. Learned behavior origin innate and genetically programmed, acquired through experience. Flexibility, rigid and unchangeable. Flexible and modifiable, trigger specific signs. Stimulus, various environmental factors. Example: stickleback fish attacking red objects, birds learning to avoid toxic prey after a bad experience. 3. Application. Question: a male stickleback fish attacks a red object placed in its tank during the breeding season. What type of behavior is this, and what triggers it? Answer: this is an example of a fixed action pattern. The behavior is triggered by the red coloration, which serves as a sign stimulus indicating the presence of a rival male. 4. Analysis and synthesis. Question: if a gray-lag goose encounters a round object near its nest that is not an egg, will it exhibit the egg-rolling behavior? Explain why or why not. Answer: yes, the gray-lag goose will likely exhibit the egg-rolling behavior. The behavior is triggered by the shape and size of the object, and the goose responds to the sign stimulus even if the object is not an actual egg, indicating the stereotyped nature of fixed action patterns. By understanding fixed action patterns, we gain insight into the innate behaviors that are crucial for the survival and reproduction of various species. Sources: You said, Proximate and Ultimate Questions. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Proximate and Ultimate Questions in Animal Behavior Introduction. In the study of animal behavior, proximate and ultimate questions address two distinct but complementary levels of explanation. These concepts were introduced by Nicolaus Tinbergen, a pioneering ethologist, to explain the why and how of behavior. Proximate questions focus on the mechanisms that cause behavior, essentially addressing how behavior occurs. Ultimate questions explore the evolutionary reasons for behavior, examining why a behavior exists and how it contributes to the survival and reproduction of a species. Both levels of explanation are critical for understanding the complete picture of why animals behave the way they do. Tinbergen's framework is a cornerstone of behavioral ecology, the study of how behavior is shaped by ecological factors and evolutionary processes. Proximate explanations. How? Proximate explanations are concerned with the immediate causes of behavior, such as the genetic, physiological, neurological, and environmental factors that directly influence the action. 1. Genetic and physiological mechanisms. Example: the behavior of a bird singing is regulated by neurological circuits in the brain, hormones, and genetic programming. How do genes and brain structures lead to the expression of a behavior? Example: hormonally controlled behavior. In some species, mating behavior is triggered by hormonal changes in response to seasonal cues. 2. Environmental influences. Example: the migratory behavior of birds is influenced by changes in photoperiod, daylight hours, which triggers hormonal changes leading to migration. How does the environment influence an animal's behavior? 3. Learning and experience. Example: a rat learning to avoid a specific smell because a negative association, such as being poisoned, demonstrates how past experiences influence future behavior. How does an individual animal learn and adapt its behavior? Ultimate explanations. Why? Ultimate explanations seek to understand the evolutionary significance of a behavior. They explore how behaviors evolve because they increase an organism's fitness, i.e., reproductive success. The focus is on the adaptive value of behaviors. 1. Natural selection and adaptation. Example: birds that are able to forage more efficiently may have a better chance of survival and reproduction. The behavior of foraging is thus shaped by natural selection. Why does the behavior enhance survival or reproduction? 2. Fitness benefits. Example: male peacocks display their colorful feathers to attract mates, a behavior that increases their reproductive success, though it may also increase predation risk. Why does the behavior contribute to the individual's reproductive success? 3. Evolutionary history. Example: the behavior of territorial defense in animals can be traced back to the evolutionary need to protect resources, such as food and mates, from rivals. Why did this behavior evolve in the first place, and how has it been shaped over time by evolutionary pressures? Proximate versus ultimate. Key differences. Aspect: proximate questions. Ultimate questions focus mechanisms causing the behavior, evolutionary reasons for the behavior. Example question: how do birds sing? Why do birds sing? Focus of explanation: genetics, physiology, and environment. Adaptation, survival, and reproduction. Time scale: short-term, individual-based, long-term. Evolutionary history. Example: how does a male bird produce its song? Neurological and hormonal basis. Why do males sing, and how does it contribute to mate attraction? Examples of proximate and ultimate questions in behavior. 1. Bird song. Proximate question: how does a bird learn to sing? The neurological mechanisms that allow the bird to hear, process, and reproduce sounds, as well as the role of hormonal influences and social interactions like listening to adult songs. Ultimate question: why do male birds sing? Singing serves as a mate attraction strategy to increase reproductive success, as females prefer males with complex songs. Additionally, song may signal territoriality to prevent rival males from intruding. 2. Migration and monarch butterflies. Proximate question: how do monarch butterflies navigate during migration? The biological mechanisms include the use of the sun compass, magnetic fields, and possibly olfactory cues. Ultimate question: why do monarch butterflies migrate? Migration ensures that the butterflies move to warmer climates to avoid harsh winter conditions, increasing their chances of survival and reproductive success. Practice questions. Gave previous year questions. 1. Recall. Question: differentiate between proximate and ultimate questions in animal behavior with examples. Answer: proximate questions focus on the mechanisms behind the behavior. For example, how do birds produce their song? This involves the study of the neurological pathways and hormonal control of singing. Ultimate questions explore the evolutionary reasons for the behavior. For example, why do male birds sing? This could be to attract mates and increase reproductive success. 2. Comprehension. Question: explain how both proximate and ultimate explanations are necessary to understand animal behavior. Answer: proximate explanations help us understand the immediate causes of a behavior, such as how environmental cues or genetic factors influence the behavior. Ultimate explanations provide insights into the evolutionary functions of a behavior, helping us understand why that behavior may have evolved over time and how it contributes to the survival and reproduction of the species. 3. Application. Question. A female bird prefers to mate with males who sing more complex songs. What would be the proximate and ultimate explanations for this behavior? Answer. Proximate. The neurological and hormonal mechanisms that allow the male bird to produce a complex song. Ultimate. The complex song may indicate that the male is genetically fit, thus providing the female with high-quality genes for her offspring, increasing her reproductive success. 4. Analysis and synthesis. Question. How would you design an experiment to test the proximate and ultimate causes of migration in monarch butterflies? Answer. Proximate. An experiment could involve altering environmental factors, e.g., light, temperature, to determine how these cues influence butterfly migration. Genetic analysis could also reveal if the behavior is inherited. Ultimate. Observing butterfly survival and reproduction rates in different environments could help test whether migration provides a fitness advantage by allowing the butterflies to avoid harsh winters and increase reproductive success. By addressing both proximate and ultimate questions, we gain a complete understanding of animal behavior, accounting for both mechanisms and evolutionary functions. You said, sensory ecology. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT sensory ecology introduction. Sensory ecology is the study of how organisms perceive, process, and respond to environmental stimuli. It focuses on how animals gather information from their environment through their sensory systems and how these sensory inputs are used to adapt to ecological challenges, navigate their surroundings, find food, detect predators, and communicate with others of their species. Sensory ecology integrates aspects of both behavioral ecology and neuroethology. Animals have evolved a wide variety of sensory modalities, such as vision, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and even more specialized ones like electroreception or magnetoreception, that allow them to interact with the environment in ways that enhance their fitness and survival. Key sensory modalities. Vision. Vision is one of the most important senses for many species, particularly in diurnal animals. Some animals, like birds and mammals, have highly developed eyes suited for color vision, while others, like nocturnal mammals, rely more on low-light vision, e.g., rod cells. Infravision and ultravision in some species allow them to perceive wavelengths outside the human visible spectrum. Example, predators, like hawks, rely on acute color vision and motion detection to identify prey. Hearing. Hearing is critical for detecting predators, prey, and mates, especially for nocturnal animals. Many animals, including bats and whales, have developed specialized echolocation to navigate and locate prey in the dark. Example, bats use ultrasonic frequencies to locate insects in complete darkness. Smell. Olfaction. Smell is a powerful sense, especially in animals that rely on scent to detect food, predators, or potential mates. Dogs and sharks have highly sensitive olfactory systems that allow them to detect smells at extremely low concentrations. Example, moths use their sense of smell to locate mates from great distances. Taste. Gustation. Taste helps animals detect nutritional quality and toxicity of food. Insects, like fruit flies, have chemoreceptors that help them distinguish between edible and non-edible substances. Touch. Mechanoreception. Many animals use touch receptors to sense physical changes in the environment, such as vibrations or pressure. Whiskers in cats and antennae in insects are examples of mechanoreceptors used for navigation and sensing surroundings. Electroreception. Electroreception is the ability of some species to detect electrical fields in their environment. Electric fish, like sharks, use electroreception to detect prey and navigate through murky waters. Magnetoreception. Magnetoreception refers to an animal's ability to sense the Earth's magnetic field and use it for navigation. Some migratory species, like birds and sea turtles, use this sense to orient themselves during long-distance migration. Ecological and evolutionary importance of sensory ecology. Survival and predator avoidance. Sensory systems allow animals to detect and avoid predators. For example, prey animals may have enhanced vision or hearing to detect the approach of predators. Example, deer rely on both sight and hearing to detect the presence of predators like wolves. Finding food. Sensory information is critical for locating food sources. Herbivores might use smell or vision to find plants, while carnivores use hearing or sight to detect prey. Example, owls have specialized hearing that allows them to detect the movement of small rodents in complete darkness. Mate selection and reproduction. Many species use chemical signals, e.g., pheromones to locate mates, while some birds rely on visual displays, e.g., peacock feathers. Example, male fireflies emit bioluminescent signals to attract females. Navigation and migration. Animals use various cues, such as magnetic fields or visual landmarks, to navigate during migration. Example, salmon use olfactory cues to return to their natal stream for spawning. Communication. Sensory modalities are essential for interspecies and interspecies communication. Example, whales use acoustic signals to communicate over vast distances in the ocean. Adaptations in sensory systems. Specialized sensory organs. Many species have developed specialized organs for detecting specific environmental stimuli. Example, pit vipers have heat-sensitive pits on their faces to detect the infrared radiation emitted by warm-blooded prey. Sensory receptors. Sensory receptors are specialized to respond to specific stimuli, e.g., photoreceptors in the eyes, chemoreceptors in the nose. Example, the vestibular system in birds is adapted for detecting balance and orientation during flight. Signal amplification. Animals have evolved ways to enhance their sensory perception. Example, bats use ultrasonic sound waves and echoes to locate insects at night, a form of echolocation. Behavioral adaptations. Some animals have evolved specific behaviors to exploit their sensory capabilities, such as hunting strategies or migration paths. Example, moths fly at night in response to light, and they have evolved the ability to detect ultrasonic sounds from bats, their predators. Proximate and ultimate explanations in sensory ecology. Proximate. Proximate explanations of sensory ecology focus on the mechanisms by which animals process and perceive environmental cues. Example, the molecular and physiological mechanisms underlying the perception of pheromones in moths. Ultimate. Ultimate explanations explore why certain sensory systems have evolved in a particular way. Example, the development of echolocation in bats has evolved because it enables these nocturnal predators to locate prey in the dark, improving their survival and reproductive success. Practice questions. Gate previous year questions. 1. Recall. Question, what is sensory ecology, and why is it important for animal behavior? Answer, sensory ecology is the study of how animals perceive and respond to environmental stimuli through their sensory systems. It is important because it helps explain how animals navigate their environment, find food, avoid predators, and communicate with others, all of which are crucial for survival and reproduction. 2. Comprehension. Question, how do sensory systems enhance an animal's survival and reproductive success? Provide an example. Answer. Sensory systems enhance an animal's survival and reproductive success by allowing it to detect predators, find food, and communicate with potential mates. For example, bats use echolocation to detect insects in the dark, enabling them to find food and survive in nocturnal environments. 3. Application. Question. A nocturnal predator relies on echolocation to detect prey. What sensory modality does this predator use, and how does it contribute to the predator's survival? Answer. The predator uses hearing echolocation to detect prey. This sensory modality allows the predator to locate prey even in complete darkness, which is crucial for survival since it hunts during the night when vision is less effective. 4. Analysis and synthesis. Question. How would you test the hypothesis that moths use ultrasonic sound detection to avoid bat predation? Answer. You could conduct an experiment where you play ultrasonic sounds near moths to simulate bat calls and observe their behavior. If the moths change their flight patterns in response to the sound, this would support the hypothesis that moths use ultrasonic sound detection to evade bats. By examining sensory ecology, we understand how animals perceive and react to environmental cues, allowing them to maximize survival, reproductive success, and overall fitness. You said, neuroethology, ChatGPT said, ChatGPT neuroethology introduction. Neuroethology is the study of the neural basis of behavior. It focuses on how the nervous system processes sensory information and generates adaptive behaviors in response to environmental stimuli. Neuroethology integrates principles from neurobiology, ethology, and behavioral ecology to explore how neural circuits and mechanisms enable animals to perceive their environment and execute behaviors that contribute to their survival and reproduction. By studying these neural circuits, researchers can uncover how specific brain regions and neuronal activities are linked to particular behaviors. Neuroethology focuses not just on the how of behavior through the neural mechanisms but also on the why evolutionary significance of behaviors. It explains how evolution has shaped neural pathways and structures in animals to enhance their fitness in different ecological niches. Key areas of neuroethology: neural circuits and behavior. Neural circuits are collections of interconnected neurons that process information and coordinate behavior. These circuits enable complex actions such as foraging, mating, migration, and predator avoidance. Example, the escape response in fish is mediated by a specific neural circuit that detects rapid changes in water pressure, e.g., a predator's approach, and initiates a fast start swimming behavior. Sensory motor integration. Sensory input from the environment is processed by sensory neurons and then integrated into motor outputs by the nervous system to produce a coordinated behavior. Example, in moths, the detection of ultrasonic sounds from bats is processed by sensory neurons, which trigger the flight response that allows them to evade the predator. Neuroplasticity and learning. Neuroplasticity refers to the ability of the nervous system to change and adapt in response to experience. This is especially important in learning and memory. Example, in honeybees, exposure to specific floral scents creates neural changes in the brain, allowing the bees to remember to send and return to those flowers for future foraging. Behavioral reflexes and innate behaviors. Many animals exhibit innate behaviors, such as reflexes, that are hardwired into their nervous system. Fixed action patterns, FAPs, which are instinctive, stereotyped behaviors, are an example of innate behavior. Example, the mating dance of some species of birds, like the bowerbird, is an innate behavior triggered by specific environmental cues, like the presence of a potential mate. Principles of neuroethology. Relevance of natural context. Neuroethology emphasizes studying behavior in natural contexts rather than controlled laboratory settings. This approach helps to understand how behaviors function in the environment where they evolve. Example, the bee's waggle dance, which is a behavior used to communicate the location of food, is studied in the context of foraging behavior, where natural environmental cues are involved. Focus on adaptive functions. Neuroethology studies how neural circuits are adapted to meet the functional demands of the organism. For example, some animals may have highly developed sensory systems that are crucial for detecting food or avoiding predators. Example, echolocation in bats and dolphins relies on highly specialized brain structures that allow them to detect prey in dark or murky environments. Studying the neural mechanisms behind behavior. Neuroethology seeks to understand the specific brain regions, neurotransmitters, and neural networks that underlie complex behaviors. This involves exploring the relationship between sensory input, processing, and motor output. Example, in zebrafish, researchers have identified the specific neural circuits involved in predator escape responses, providing insight into how the brain processes sensory information to initiate flight. Techniques used in neuroethology. Electrophysiology. Electrophysiology is the study of electrical properties of biological cells and tissues, and it is used to measure the activity of individual neurons or groups of neurons. Example, single-cell recording can be used to measure the firing rate of specific neurons in response to sensory stimuli, e.g., light or sound. Neuroimaging. Techniques such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, and positron emission tomography that allow researchers to visualize brain activity in response to different stimuli or tasks. Example, studies of the brain activity in rats during navigation tasks have shown how specific brain regions, like the hippocampus, are activated during spatial memory processing. Genetic manipulations. By using genetic tools, e.g., CRISPR-Cas9, scientists can manipulate specific genes to see how changes in the brain affect behavior. Example, gene knockout studies in mice can identify the role of specific neurotransmitters in behavior, such as aggression or mating. Optogenetics. Optogenetics allows precise control of neural activity using light. This technique is used to activate or inhibit specific neurons to study their role in behavior. Example, in a study of mice, optogenetics has been used to control the activation of neurons in the amygdala, which is linked to fear responses. Examples of neuroethology in action. Escape behavior in fish. Fish have specialized neural circuits that enable a rapid escape response when they detect a predator. This response is mediated by sensory input, e.g., the detection of vibrations or changes in water pressure, and results in a fast start swimming behavior. Neural mechanism. This behavior is controlled by a specific group of neurons in the spinal cord that receive input from sensory neurons and produce a motor output that activates muscles for the escape response. Echolocation in bats. Bats use echolocation to navigate and locate prey in the dark. This process involves emitting high-frequency sounds and processing the returning echoes. Neural mechanism. The auditory cortex in bats processes the returning echoes, and the brainstem helps to coordinate the motor response to the sensory input, allowing bats to adjust their flight and capture prey. Mating behavior in male crickets. Male crickets produce a chirping sound by rubbing their wings together to attract females. This behavior is controlled by neural circuits in the brain and spinal cord that process auditory signals and coordinate muscle activity. Neural mechanism. The central nervous system, CNS, integrates signals from sensory organs to control motor outputs involved in producing sound and other mating behaviors. Proximate and ultimate explanations in neuroethology. Proximate explanation. The proximate explanation focuses on how neural circuits mediate behavior. Example, in the case of mate recognition in frogs, the proximate explanation involves the processing of visual and auditory stimuli by the brain, which triggers specific motor actions such as calling. Ultimate explanation. The ultimate explanation focuses on the evolutionary reasons for behavior. Example, in birds, complex song production has evolved because it increases reproductive success by attracting mates. The neural circuits involved in song production have evolved over time due to sexual selection. Practice questions gave previous year questions. 1. Recall. Question, what is neuroethology, and how does it contribute to our understanding of animal behavior? Answer, neuroethology is the study of the neural mechanisms that underlie animal behavior. It contributes to our understanding of behavior by identifying the neural circuits that enable organisms to process sensory input and execute adaptive behaviors, such as predator avoidance, food finding, and mating. 2. Comprehension. Question, how do neural circuits in animals mediate escape behaviors in response to predators? Answer, neural circuits in the spinal cord and brainstem integrate sensory inputs, such as vibrations or visual cues, to trigger motor outputs. In response to predator detection, these circuits produce fast start swimming behavior or similar rapid movements that enable the animal to escape. 3. Application. Question, how would you study the neural basis of mating behavior in male crickets? Answer, to study the neural basis of mating behavior in male crickets, you could use electrophysiology to record neural activity in the central nervous system, CNS, while the cricket is producing its mating call. Additionally, genetic tools could be used to identify the genes involved in sound production and behavior. 4. Analysis and synthesis. Question, how would you design an experiment to test the neural mechanisms involved in echolocation in bats? Answer, you could use electrophysiology to record the activity of neurons in the auditory cortex of bats while they are engaged in echolocation. Additionally, genetic manipulation could be employed to silence specific neurons to observe how it affects the bat's ability to use echolocation for prey detection. Neuroethology provides a framework for understanding how complex behaviors are controlled by the brain and nervous system. By linking neural mechanisms with adaptive functions, we gain insight into the evolution of behavior and the role that the nervous system plays in shaping survival and reproductive success. You said. Communication chemical, acoustic and visual signaling, ChatGPT said. ChatGPT. Communication in animals, chemical, acoustic, and visual signaling introduction. Communication in animals is essential for coordinating behaviors, conveying information about the environment, and facilitating social interactions. Communication can be interspecific within the same species or interspecific between different species. It involves the transmission of signals that convey information, such as the presence of a predator, availability of food, or readiness to mate. Animals use a variety of signaling modalities, each suited to their ecological needs and the environment in which they live. The primary forms of communication in animals include chemical, acoustic, and visual signaling, each with unique advantages and limitations. Chemical signaling overview. Chemical communication is one of the oldest and most widely used forms of signaling in the animal kingdom. It involves the release of chemical substances known as pheromones, allomones, or chiromones into the environment. These chemicals are detected by specialized sensory organs and trigger specific behavioral responses in the receiver. Chemical signaling is particularly common among insects, mammals, and amphibians. Types of chemical signals. Pheromones. Pheromones are chemicals released by an individual that affect the behavior or physiology of other members of the same species. Example, in ants, trail pheromones are used to guide nestmates to a food source. Allomones. Allomones are chemicals released by one species that benefit the sender but may be neutral or harmful to the receiver. Example, the skunk sprays a chemical deterrent that repels predators. Chiromones. Chiromones are chemicals that benefit the receiver, often a predator or parasite, and are typically harmful to the sender. Example, mosquitoes use chemical signals to locate their hosts, such as carbon dioxide from human breath. Advantages of chemical communication. Long-distance signaling. Chemical signals can travel over long distances, especially in air or water. Persistence. Chemicals can linger in the environment for long periods, providing continuous signals. Discrete communication. Chemical signals can be transmitted without being seen by predators or rivals. Disadvantages. Slow transmission. Chemical signaling is typically slower than acoustic or visual signaling. Limited to close proximity. In some cases, chemical signals are effective only over short distances, e.g., pheromones. Acoustic signaling. Overview. Acoustic communication involves the production of sound waves to convey information. Sound can travel over long distances and is commonly used in environments where visual cues are limited, such as in dense forests or underwater. Acoustic signals are produced by specialized structures in animals, such as vocal cords in mammals, stridulatory organs in insects, or drumming in certain species of frogs. Types of acoustic signals. Vocalizations. Many animals, including birds, mammals, and amphibians, use vocalizations for communication, such as mating calls, territory defense, or alarm calls. Example, male frogs use calls to attract females and establish territory. Ultrasonic sounds. Some animals, like bats and dolphins, produce ultrasonic sounds for echolocation, allowing them to navigate and locate prey in the dark. Example, bats emit high-frequency sounds and use the returning echoes to navigate through the night. Stridulation. Insects like crickets and grasshoppers produce sound by rubbing two body parts together, a behavior known as stridulation. These sounds are often used for attracting mates. Example, male crickets chirp to signal their presence and attract females. Advantages of acoustic communication. Long-range transmission. Sounds can travel over large distances, especially in air or water. Fast signaling. Acoustic signals can be produced and received quickly, enabling rapid communication. No line of sight required. Acoustic signals can be used in conditions where visual signals may not be effective, e.g., darkness or dense vegetation. Disadvantages. Energy intensive. Producing sounds, especially loud calls, can require significant energy. Predator detection. Acoustic signals can be easily intercepted by predators or competitors. Visual signaling. Overview. Visual communication involves the use of sight to convey information between animals. This form of signaling is particularly common in diurnal species, where visual cues can be easily detected. Visual signals can be expressed through postures, gestures, coloration, and body movements. Types of visual signals. Body postures and gestures. Animals often use body language to communicate emotions or intentions. For example, a dog may raise its tail and ears to signal aggression or dominance. Example, deer often display antler size and body posture as part of a dominance display in interactions with rivals. Coloration. Some animals use color patterns to communicate, often as signals of warning or mate attraction. For example, many birds and fish use bright colors to attract mates, while some species of frogs use coloration to warn predators of toxicity. Example, the peacock's tail is a visual display used by males to attract females. Bioluminescence. Certain species, like fireflies and deep-sea organisms, use bioluminescence to communicate. In fireflies, males and females use light patterns to attract mates. Example, fireflies produce flashing light signals that are species-specific and help individuals find mates. Advantages of visual communication. Immediate feedback. Visual signals are typically immediate, allowing for rapid responses to changes in the environment. Clear and specific. Visual signals are often more easily interpreted than other forms of communication, as they provide direct and unambiguous information. No need for a medium. Unlike chemical or acoustic signals, visual signals don't require a medium like air or water to travel, making them effective in clear line-of-sight environments. Disadvantages. Short-range communication. Visual signals are typically only effective over short distances, especially in dark or obstructed environments. Visibility to predators. Visual signals can be intercepted by predators or competitors, making them potentially dangerous. Comparing signaling modalities. Chemical versus acoustic signaling. Chemical signaling is often used for long-term or continuous communication, e.g., pheromone trails, while acoustic signals provide more immediate feedback and are used for active communication in real time. Chemical signals are less prone to interference from environmental factors, but acoustic signals are more versatile and can travel faster over longer distances. Acoustic versus visual signaling. Acoustic signals are often used when the sender and receiver cannot see each other or in situations where visual signals would be ineffective, such as in low light conditions. Visual signals, on the other hand, are energy efficient and provide immediate and unambiguous information, especially in open, well-lit environments. Chemical versus visual signaling. Chemical signals are beneficial when a more persistent form of communication is needed, such as marking territory or signaling for mating. In contrast, visual signals are typically used for shorter interactions, like mate attraction or warning displays. Practice questions gave previous year questions. 1. Recall. Question. What are the main types of chemical signals used in animal communication, and how do they differ? Answer. The main types of chemical signals are pheromones, allomones, and chiromones. Pheromones affect the behavior of individuals of the same species. Allomones benefit the sender but may be neutral or harmful to the receiver, and chiromones benefit the receiver, often a predator or parasite, and are harmful to the sender. 2. Comprehension. Question. Why is acoustic communication beneficial in dense forests where visibility is low? Answer. Acoustic communication is beneficial in dense forests because it allows animals to transmit signals over long distances without needing direct line of sight, unlike visual signals which can be obstructed by dense vegetation. Additionally, sounds can travel around obstacles, making them effective for communication in environments where visual signals would be less reliable. 3. Application. Question. How would you design an experiment to study the role of visual signaling in mate choice among birds? Answer. To study visual signaling in mate choice among birds, you could use controlled experiments where you manipulate visual traits, such as coloration or plumage patterns, in males and observe the responses of females. By controlling the presence of other cues, e.g., acoustic signals, you could isolate the effect of visual signaling on mate preference. Conclusion. Animal communication via chemical, acoustic, and visual signaling plays a critical role in survival and reproduction. Each modality is adapted to the animal's ecological niche, enabling effective interaction with conspecifics in the environment. Understanding the mechanisms and applications of these signaling systems provides valuable insight into behavioral ecology and evolutionary biology. You said. Communication chemical, in detail ChatGPT said. ChatGPT. Chemical communication in animals, a detailed overview introduction. Chemical communication is one of the most ancient and widespread forms of signaling in the animal kingdom. It involves the release of chemical substances, known as pheromones, chiromones, and allomones, that convey information from one organism to another. These chemicals trigger specific behavioral or physiological responses in the receiver. Chemical communication is especially common in insects, mammals, and amphibians, but it can be observed in a wide range of species, including plants and microorganisms. Chemical communication can occur both within a species interspecific and between different species interspecific. This form of communication has been shaped by evolutionary processes to meet the survival and reproductive needs of organisms, and it plays a crucial role in behaviors such as mating, territoriality, and predator-prey interactions. Types of chemical signals. 1. Pheromones. Pheromones are chemicals that are released by an individual and affect the behavior or physiology of other individuals within the same species. They are produced by specialized glands and are often used for communication over long distances. Types of pheromones. Releaser pheromones. These pheromones elicit an immediate behavioral response in the receiver. They are commonly associated with mating, aggression, or foraging behaviors. Example, mating pheromones in insects like moths or butterflies that attract mates. Primer pheromones. These pheromones bring about a long-term physiological change in the receiver, affecting its development, reproductive cycle, or behavior. Example, queen pheromones in honeybees that suppress the development of ovaries in worker bees. Alarm pheromones, released when an organism is threatened. These pheromones often trigger a flight response or alert others to the danger. Example, ants release alarm pheromones when they sense a predator, causing other ants to become defensive or flee. Function of pheromones. Mating. Pheromones play a key role in attracting mates, especially in species where visual cues are insufficient, such as in moths or certain mammals. Territorial marking. Animals, especially mammals, use pheromones to mark their territory and communicate dominance or availability for mating. Parent-offspring communication. Some pheromones are involved in parent-offspring recognition, aiding in care and protection of young. Examples of pheromone use. Moths. Female moths release specific sex pheromones that attract males over long distances. These pheromones are highly volatile and can travel through the air. Ants. Ants use trail pheromones to lead other ants to food sources. When a forager ant finds food, it marks a trail back to the colony with pheromones that other ants follow. Elephants. Female elephants release pheromones during estrus to signal their readiness to mate, and males use these signals to locate potential mates. 2. Chiromones. Chiromones are chemicals released by one species that benefit the receiver, often a predator or parasite, while being neutral or even harmful to the sender. Examples of chiromones. Predator-prey interaction. Many prey species release chiromones that alert predators to their presence. For example, some plants release chemicals when damaged by herbivores, which attract predators of the herbivores, e.g., parasitoid wasps attracted to plants being eaten by caterpillars. Parasite attraction. Some parasitic species use chiromones to locate their hosts. For example, mosquitoes are attracted to the carbon dioxide and lactic acid released by humans or animals as chiromones to locate potential hosts for feeding. Significance. Feeding strategy. Chiromones enable predators to detect and target prey, and parasitoids to find hosts for oviposition. Co-evolutionary arms race. Both predator and prey species engage in a co-evolutionary battle, where predators evolve enhanced sensory mechanisms to detect pheromones, while prey species evolve to reduce pheromone emissions or avoid detection. 3. Allomones. Allomones are chemicals that are released by an individual that benefit the sender, but are either neutral or harmful to the receiver. Allomones are commonly used in defense, as a means of repelling or deterring potential predators. Examples of allomones. Skunks. Skunks release a strong-smelling secretion from their anal glands when threatened, which serves to deter predators from attacking. The chemical does not benefit the predator and is therefore an allomone. Bombardier beetles. These beetles release a toxic chemical spray as a defense mechanism when threatened. The spray is directed toward predators and is harmful to them but beneficial for the beetle's survival. Caterpillars. Some caterpillars, such as the tomato hornworm, release chemicals that make them less palatable to predators like birds. Function of allomones. Defense. Allomones are often involved in defense mechanisms against predators or competitors. The chemicals typically act as a deterrent. Resource protection. Some animals use allomones to protect their resources, such as food or nesting sites, from intruders. Mechanisms of chemical communication. Production of chemical signals. Glands. Specialized glands in animals, such as scent glands, anal glands, or mandibular glands, are responsible for producing and releasing chemical signals. Excretion. Some animals release chemicals through urine, feces, or other bodily excretions, which contain pheromones or other signaling compounds. Body surface. In some species, chemicals are released from the body surface, especially in amphibians, where mucus or slime may contain pheromones. Transmission of chemical signals. Airborne transmission. Chemicals can be dispersed into the air, as seen in pheromone trails or mating pheromones. Waterborne transmission. In aquatic environments, chemicals can dissolve in water and spread over long distances. Fish, amphibians, and marine invertebrates often rely on waterborne chemicals for communication. Surface-bound transmission. In some terrestrial organisms, chemical signals are left on surfaces, such as the trails left by ants or the scent marks left by mammals. Detection of chemical signals. Antennal sensory organs. In insects, antennae are equipped with specialized sensory receptors that detect airborne pheromones. For example, the moth's antennae can detect minute concentrations of sex pheromones released by females. Vomeronasal organ. In mammals, the vomeronasal organ VNO detects chemical signals, especially pheromones, and transmits this information to the brain, triggering behavioral responses. Olfactory system. The olfactory system is responsible for detecting airborne chemicals. In many animals, this system is highly sensitive, allowing for precise detection of chemical signals. Advantages and disadvantages of chemical communication. Advantages. Long-lasting, chemical signals, especially pheromones, can persist in the environment for a long time, providing continuous information. Wide range, chemical signals can travel over long distances, especially in the absence of barriers, making them effective for both local and long-range communication. Discrete, chemical signals can be emitted without being seen, offering an advantage in avoiding predators or competitors. Specialized, chemical communication allows for highly specific signaling, such as mating or alarm signals, ensuring the right behavioral response from the recipient. Disadvantages. Slow transmission. Unlike visual or acoustic signals, chemical signals often take time to travel from a sender to the receiver. Environmental interference. Wind, rain, and other environmental factors can alter or degrade chemical signals, reducing their effectiveness. Limited control. The sender has little control over the direction and extent of chemical signal spread, making it difficult to target a specific receiver. Energy cost. Producing and releasing chemicals, especially pheromones in large quantities, can be energy intensive for the sender. Examples in nature. 1. Honeybees. Honeybees use a sophisticated system of chemical communication to maintain the colony's structure. For example, the queen pheromone helps regulate the reproduction of worker bees and suppresses the development of ovaries in workers. During foraging, bees leave a pheromone trail that directs other workers to a food source. 2. Moths. In many moth species, females release a sex pheromone to attract males. These pheromones are highly effective even in low concentrations, and males can detect them over great distances, navigating by following the scent trail. 3. Rodents. Mice and other rodents use urine pheromones to communicate with each other, marking their territory and signaling reproductive status. The female mouse's urine signals her readiness to mate, which males detect and respond to by increased mating behaviors. Conclusion. Chemical communication is a highly effective and adaptive strategy that allows animals to convey critical information about their environment, reproductive status, and social interactions. Whether through pheromones, chiromones, or allomones, chemical signaling facilitates important behaviors such as mating, territoriality, and predator-prey interactions. Understanding the mechanisms behind chemical communication offers valuable insights into behavioral ecology and evolutionary biology, highlighting the diverse ways in which organisms communicate and adapt to their surroundings. Practice questions. Gate previous year questions 1. Recall. Question. What are the primary types of pheromones, and what are their functions? Answer. The primary types of pheromones or releaser pheromones trigger immediate behavioral responses. Primer pheromones cause long-term physiological changes, and alarm pheromones alert others to danger. 2. Comprehension. Question. How do pheromones benefit insects in mating? Answer. Pheromones, such as sex pheromones, help insects locate potential mates from long distances. Females release specific pheromones that attract males, ensuring reproductive success by enabling mate finding and enhancing genetic diversity. 3. Application. Question. Design an experiment to test the role of pheromones in mate attraction in moths. And, to test the role of pheromones, one could conduct a controlled field experiment where moths are exposed to synthetic pheromones in a natural environment. The number of males attracted to these pheromone lures could be compared to those attracted to control lures, no pheromone, to determine the effect of pheromones on mate attraction. This detailed understanding of chemical communication is essential for exploring its role in animal behavior and ecology. You said, Acoustic ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Acoustic communication in animals, a detailed overview introduction. Acoustic communication involves the transmission of information through sound waves, a crucial aspect of interaction in the animal kingdom. This form of communication is especially important in environments where visual signals may be limited or ineffective, such as dense forests, underwater habitats, or during the night. Acoustic signals can be used by animals for a variety of purposes, including mating, territorial defense, navigation, and predator avoidance. Sound waves travel through air, water, or substrates, and animals have evolved specialized vocalization structures and sensory systems to produce and detect sounds. Acoustic communication is widely observed in species ranging from insects and birds to mammals and marine animals. It allows individuals to transmit information over long distances, effectively overcoming environmental barriers like darkness, vegetation, or obstacles. Types of acoustic signals. 1. Vocalizations. Vocalizations are sounds produced by animals, usually through the vibration of specialized vocal cords or other structures. These can be simple sounds or complex patterns that convey different messages depending on the context. Types of vocalizations. Mating calls. Many animals produce calls to attract mates, signaling their availability and quality as a mate. Example, male frogs produce loud calls to attract females during the breeding season. Territorial calls. Vocalizations can signal ownership of a territory and deter other individuals from entering or contesting the space. Example, birdsong is commonly used by males to advertise their presence and defend a territory. Alarm calls. These vocalizations alert others to potential danger, such as the presence of a predator, prompting a flight or defensive behavior. Example, meerkats produce sharp alarm calls when they spot a predator, which triggers an escape response from the group. Social calls. These calls help coordinate group activities, such as foraging, hunting, or migration. Example, dolphins use whistles to communicate with other members of their pod, coordinating group movements and hunting. Mechanism of vocalization. In mammals, vocalizations are produced by the larynx, voice box, where air passing over the vocal cords creates sound waves. The sound is then modified by the mouth, tongue, and other vocal apparatus. Birds use a specialized organ called the syrinx to produce sounds. The syrinx allows for a wide range of vocalizations and is more flexible than the larynx. Insects, such as crickets, produce sound by rubbing certain body parts together, a process known as stridulation. 2. Non-vocal acoustic signals. In addition to vocalizations, many animals produce non-vocal sounds, which can be used for communication. These include drumming, stridulation, and clicking sounds. Examples of non-vocal acoustic signals. Stridulation. Many insects produce sound by rubbing body parts together, such as the legs of crickets or the wings of grasshoppers. Example, male crickets produce a distinct chirping sound by rubbing their forewings together to attract females. Drumming. Some animals, especially woodpeckers, create rhythmic drumming sounds by rapidly pecking on trees, which can serve to attract mates or mark territory. Example, woodpeckers drum on tree trunks to establish territory and communicate with other woodpeckers. Clicking. Certain animals, particularly in the aquatic environment, produce clicking sounds that are used for echolocation or as part of a social communication system. Example, dolphins and whales produce clicks and whistles for echolocation and communication within their pods. Functions of acoustic communication. 1. Mate attraction. Many species rely on vocal signals to attract mates. These vocalizations often serve as an indicator of the individual's health, genetic quality, and readiness to mate. Birdsong. Male birds often sing elaborate songs to attract females. The complexity and duration of the song can indicate the male's fitness, with healthier males producing more complex and frequent songs. Frog calls. Male frogs call during the breeding season to attract females. The frequency and duration of the call can indicate the male's stamina and genetic quality. 2. Territorial defense. Acoustic signals are often used by animals to defend their territories. By producing loud calls or songs, individuals can advertise their presence and deter competitors. Birdsong. Males sing to defend their territories from other males. The louder and more frequent the song, the more likely it is that the singer will intimidate rivals and secure a mate. Howler monkeys. Male howler monkeys produce loud howls that can be heard over long distances, signaling territorial boundaries and warning other males to stay away. 3. Communication and coordination. In social animals, acoustic communication plays a critical role in coordinating group activities, such as foraging, hunting, migration, and defense. Dolphins. Dolphins use a variety of whistles and clicks to communicate with other pod members, coordinating hunting strategies and maintaining group cohesion. Elephants. Elephants use infrasound, low-frequency sounds that travel long distances to communicate over large areas, often used for coordinating movements of herds. 4. Predator avoidance. Alarm calls are an important form of communication used to warn others of approaching predators. Meerkats. Meerkats issue an alarm call when they spot a predator, such as a bird of prey. The call causes other members of the grow